All right, welcome to the On My Block Packers podcast. This is the preview show. We got the Packers Bills coming up on Sunday night. And as always, our show is presented by betonline.ag. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports contests and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting to props and futures. So head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. I'm your co-host, Mike Wahle. Ahman will be with us shortly. He is now hosting an esports tournament, I believe, which is a pretty exciting thing, something that we probably don't talk enough about on this show because I'm pretty sure that Madden is like the biggest video game ever. But let's talk some Packers football. Packers are going to open this week at plus 11 in Buffalo after losing to the Washington Commanders last week. And you just kind of think about like how did we get here? What happened to the Green Bay Packers? And right now, statistically speaking, we are 23rd in the league at 18.3 points per game, giving up 20.9, which is good for 14th in the league. We talked about the horizontal passing game all week last week. Aaron Rodgers is actually, top 10 in completion percentage, but just outside of the top 23 in yards per pass play, just outside the top 15 in passing yards per game. I mean, this is not obviously the offense that we expected, and certainly he's not having the kind of season you expect from a four-time MVP. We can get into the reasons why. I think we've got into the reasons why that is. I think, the first thing I just wanted to address, and hopefully AG hops on when we're going through this, is this week, look, obviously there's been, when you lose 3 in a row and you lose to the Giants and the Jets and the Commanders, these are not teams that were picked early in the season to be powerhouses in our conference. And the Minnesota Vikings are obviously doing very well right now. They seem to be running away with the conference. And let's be honest, the Green Bay Packers schedule, the Bills is the hardest game to date, but it's only getting, deeper into the teeth of this lineup. I know we have the Cowboys and the Eagles as an example for the next couple weeks. And Ahman is here. Ahman, perfect timing. So I was just talking about, first of all, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, man. Hanging in there. How you doing?
I'm good. So
all right.
I just wanted to address this big, hoop brouhaha that's going up there, and you're part of the woods in Green Bay with Aaron and having the comments he made on the Pat McAfee show.
Yep.
And everybody, of course, gaslighting everything and really concerned about what that means and how individuals take that. And is that okay to say to his receiving core and younger guys, and who's he talking about specifically? And I have my own thoughts on it. Certainly I'll share, but I just wanted to get your thoughts as a guy who's been in the locker room, as a team leader, as someone who has seen his shares of frustrations and setbacks and also successes. Like, is this part of, in your opinion, is this part of football? Is it the way it's being delivered? Is there any problem with this ball?
I say today this is the way football, and I say some sports, basketball too, that messages are sent cryptically through the media and it's directed towards certain players. Names are in it. But obviously from the old school that we know, it doesn't happen like this. It wouldn't. And we looked at this like, no, you should have just came to me first instead of spouting off in the media. But the way times have changed, everything is out there. Social media puts everything out there, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter.
And they can't do this, can they?
No, they can't do the face. Nope.
We can't look in the eye, can we?
So it's different now. And with that, like you said, not looking in the eye, I call them keyboard champions because they want to do it from the keyboard. They want to do it from the screen, but not face to face. Not saying that with Aaron, but those comments should ring loudly in the locker room, either should piss people off or grab people's attention. Either way, that's where something needs to be done among the players. Be prideful about what you do as a pro. Like, man, my teammate calling this out. Like, you could be upset, you could be bitter, but at least something getting riled up to say, you know what? I don't like what he said, but he's right in some instances that we got to, get better. We got to stop making these MAs. We got to stop dropping the ball. We got to do what we do as a team collectively, because we were been 13-3 in the last 2 seasons, and that's not by no mistake. Even though we have players that are not here anymore, we can't lay on that now. We can't make that excuse about number 17 not being here. It's midseason. He's gone. He's in another state. We got to we got to work together with the teams and the players that are in this building and figure it out, basically.
So I agree everything you said. There's a couple of things that I'd like to add. Yeah. One is that there's a generational gap between Aaron Rodgers and the rest of his teammates. Something that Brett had with us, right? So there's enough of a gap there where the way that Aaron probably wants to address this is taking the guy into the corner and being like, look, pick your shit, get your stuff together.
Yeah, let's go.
But they just can't, we have raised this generation to not be able to handle that very well for whatever reason. That's a whole nother discussion.
Yes, that's a whole nother podcast.
I would think that here's how I think about this. And I just look at the timeline of events, right? And I know how this is going to sound. I'm not, because we've talked about the coaching staff and the culture and everything.
Correct.
But this is how I see this, honestly. How Aaron Rodgers is using the media as a voice.
Mm-hmm.
You know how Aaron Rodgers is the smart guy in the room. You look at the timeline of events, AG. He's frustrated early in training camp. Guys don't have their stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
Dobbs, but then when guys perform well, he says something.
Yeah.
We look at early in the season. We have mental mistakes. We have drop passes. There's 2 kinds of mistakes, right? There's things that we can deal with because, like, you drop a pass, I miss a block, it happens. You make mental errors. Like, if you're in the offensive line room, you make 3 mental errors, you're at the bus stop, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and this is the other, so this isn't like, this is kind of a skill position thing versus like a trench thing. They just talk to us like they talk. Like, hey, you need to get your shit together, you're out of here, right?
Yep.
But when you look at the beginning of the season, they're making mistakes. Then that gets called out. Then Aaron comes out and says, we need to simplify things.
Yeah, that was Giants week after the Giants game.
And then it's kind of push back from Matt LaFleur. Then they come out and play the way they did, and all these more errors, apparently. 20% of the plays have errors on them.
Yeah.
And then he comes out and says this, that everybody knows, like, everything you said is true, except for they're already having those discussions in the locker room. Like, nothing that he said was something they don't already know.
Right.
So my thing is, like, everyone's complaining about hurt feelings, and this is not how you lead. Dude, who do you think he's talking to? I think he's talking to the coach. I think he's talking to the head coach and the coaching staff, and he's putting himself. First of all, he's putting himself on the same level as they are. Okay.
True. Yeah.
And he's saying very simply, like, if your guys that you're coaching are making mental errors, you have to fix this problem. I told you that this offense was too complicated for them. I told you that. I said it to your face. I said it in the media, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones touches the ball 12 times in the game. I've already told you what the problems are. Now I'm telling you we need to put in new players. Because your solution is not to simplify the offense. It's to keep playing the same guys in the same situation. And it goes again. We'll have this conversation until the season change. But
right.
I may be way off here, but I don't think I'm off. Like, that logically makes a lot of sense, the way this guy thinks about life.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense because, as you know, coming in as a young player, you're already the biggest adjustment offensively and defensively is learning the scheme, learning what your position does in the offensive scheme for your defensive coordinator or your offensive coordinator. How do I fit in the offense? How do I process it? Do I study it every night? You got to maybe get some tips from veterans around the building. But yeah, it's getting that offense in your head, knowing the adjustments, knowing the audibles, knowing the calls that happen during live game, during in the middle of a play. There's line calls going out, and you got to understand what that verbiage means, because if you don't, you're going to be lost. But then doing the basics, catching the ball, having the wherewithal to get past a DB to get open, run the ball. If you're the running back, block, just do blanket stuff you've been doing in college should not be an issue. But obviously adjusting at the same time to the new playbook is then what you got to bring along. But you got to know now, okay, this is the pros. If I don't get this right, like you said, I'm sitting at the bus stop.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at the bus stop.
The thing that I want to stress, because you said it in there, is like, it's okay. Like, I'll tell my kids the same thing. Like, it's okay to mess up. It's okay to drop the. It's like, it's not okay in the sense that you'll get fired, but like, if you miss a block, if you miss a hole, if I miss a block, like, you can be pissed, but you're not mad at me. You're like, we'll get it the next time.
Right.
But if I go the wrong direction and I get you crushed, that's a problem, right? So there's a mental side of the game and there's an execution side. If I can't execute, then you'll find somebody who can, you being the head coach. If I'm continuing to make mental errors, like for me, if the team is 20% is a big number, man.
That's a huge number.
He threw out 20%. That's a big number. If 20% of the plays have mental errors attached to them, you have to start thinking about your preparation. And the preparation starts with the person who puts together the practice and the meeting plans, in my opinion. Now, everybody's individually responsible to doing that. But when you have young players playing, they're professionals in paycheck only. The habits and all the things that you learn while becoming a veteran professional player are not obvious to you as a rookie, as a second and third year guy. And if you don't have either the person in that room to help teach you that, I'm talking about a player, when you don't have a coach that's requiring you to improve your preparation habits or doing it for you, like force feeding you this information, to me, that is a structural problem. That's not like necessarily a Romeo Dobbs problem.
Right. Because the coaches are there to coach and they're there to educate. They're there to, show you the tidbits in the film that they see from their point of view on how you could fix it and get better. Coach me up, coach. I've had that conversation with coaches during my career. So that's on the coach.
Bro, I was with a guy. So when we were in Miami, I was with this coordinator, and all he was going to run his stuff, and he didn't matter that Tannehill didn't run it very, very well.
Right.
It didn't matter that we didn't have the personnel to run it, and it was literally like drinking out of a fire hydrant. And I was coaching this kid in particular, and he was a great athlete. The kid could not pick up the information. Like, he couldn't pick it up, and it wasn't like, you first look at yourself as a coach. You look at yourself and go, okay, am I doing everything I can to help this kid? Like, do I understand his learning style? Am I taking extra time? Like, are we putting together tapes? Because they're our job, right?
Yeah.
So you look at that, but then at some point you have to go to the coordinator and go, hey, man, they can't pick up the information. We need to reduce the amount of plays, which is what your star player has said, so that we can be really good at these 8 concepts. And for whatever reason, like, it still seems that like, indirectly, directly, that seems to be the issue. And I don't know how they're going to fix it unless they have some sort of come to Jesus meeting, which looks like to be about a week away, given the fact that we're playing the Bills this weekend, right?
Right. Yeah, it's got to be boiled down to a players only meeting, something like that among the players. And then the coaches got to somehow tune in and read the room and understand what needs to be done on their end too. Because once the coaches and the players are on different pages, you have what we have seen so far in the last 4 weeks, basically.
So if we look at the defensive side of the ball, like, it's clearly been better, but it hasn't been what we thought. I mean, you got 7 first-round draft picks over there. We should be a top 5 defense on paper. The turnover ratio, we're still stuck at -4 or -4, which means that we have 4 more turnovers than they have. We're 15 sacks on defense. We didn't get to Heineke once last week. What other stats we have? I mean, we're in 139, 140 yards per game on defense. We're giving up 25th in the league at yards per run. So, like, we know that's an issue. Tackling, fitting in, all of these things that we can improve on, things that we can certainly get better at. But, it just seems to be this week, and they're going to be tested this week, obviously, but
100%.
It just seems to be this week. The conversation's all about, like, how can we get rid of this, or how can we improve on this anemic offense? And one thing I just wanted to ask you, last week, so Aaron Jones, 8 carries, 23 yards.
Yep.
AJ, 4 carries, 15 yards. Like, bad numbers. And quite frankly, the offensive line blew it a couple times early in the game. They went away on the run, right?
Right.
Okay. But then we start throwing these bubble screens and all this stuff. And coaches and commentators are like, oh, well, Matt says that, and not just Matt, Coach LaFleur, but everybody across the board. They're, oh, this is just an extension of our run game. And as an offensive lineman, I go, the hell it is.
I already knew you were going to say that. Oh,
you tell me. I'm going to give you a loaded question. Why are horizontal passes not part of the running game, AG?
Because let's just go pass first. It starts with a pass. You're not getting the old lineman in their swing, in their wheelhouse. You're saying the old lineman got to come out their stance and then belly out to the flat, left or right, and where they lose all momentum. And y'all are great athletes, but it is really tough to get in space, and you got to cut block a defensive back in his area. So no, that's not an extension. That's an extension of the pass game.
It's not what you're trained to do either. Like when they're talking about Aaron Jones while he's getting a bubble screen, it's like, okay, like Aaron Jones is trained to take the ball in the backfield, make a guy miss, make a hard cut, and go north and south.
Yep.
That's why you pay him money. Like, I know he can do other stuff, but if you're trying to, and AJ Dillon, if you're trying to impose your will on somebody as an offensive line, as a unit, as a running back, like, you're not, like, bubble screens don't do the job. Yeah, it might change the approach that your secondary has, and I get that that's important.
And it gives the defense something to look at.
Right, but if you're generally trying to dictate the terms of confrontation, that ain't it.
No,
it just is. It's not it, man. It's frustrating because they use that as a filler. We're like, dude, no, you only gave the ball 12 times to the running backs. That's what really happened.
It's a filler, and so with the filler saying that you're not setting up the run, establishing a run with horizontal passes with bubble screens, because then the defensive line is like, they're not beat up, they're not tired, they're going to just say, oh, okay, they're just trying to throw us off a little bit. But when it comes down to now, okay, the game's on the line, they haven't established nothing with that defensive line to say, oh my God, were they worried about AJ? They worried about Aaron Jones coming downhill fourth quarter if the game was on the line in that situation. So that's where the mental mindset for a defensive player, a D-line or a linebacker, is not really worried. Okay, I could just get this is now just a pass play. Now I can make this tackle, boom, first down or no conversion, boom, we got the ball 3 and out. Let's go hit the sidelines. That's what defensive players are saying in that type of situation. It makes it easier on the defense, especially a linebacker. Makes it easier on a linebacker to read it out, get around the lineman, and make a tackle.
We're not saying that it's not a viable play. It obviously isn't. But we're just saying that that's not a running play. Yeah. Let's just call it what it is. It's
a pass. Yeah.
It's a horizontal pass. All right, let's skip down here. Moving forward, AG.
Yeah.
When you look at our rankings, 18.3 points per game, there's teams that are doing a lot more with seemingly a lot less. Here's 4: Jaguars, Titans, Patriots, and Seahawks. There's 4 I wrote down randomly, right? Like, there's teams doing more with less. But I think the big thing is they are tailoring their system
to their players,
to make it easier for the players that they have to execute. And all this, again, it just goes back to the talk we've been having. All of this is really fundamentally based on, like, we lost to the Giants with Daniel Jones and a mediocre offensive line. We lost to the Jets with Zach Wilson and a mediocre offensive line. And they both have good running backs. Oh, so do we. Yeah, right? We lost to the Commanders with Taylor Heineke and a mediocre offensive line. And of the 3 running backs, the least capable, although a good player.
Yeah.
2 of them are good players. Right?
Yeah.
And so you just go, gosh, I wonder how all these other teams are figuring this out.
It's not,
this is what guys, I'm just like, let's give perspective of guys in the locker room. Guys in the locker room are going like, dude, this isn't like, you can watch all this tape and we're overthinking this, guys. Here's our good players. Let's put them in positions to be successful. Let's not overthink this.
No.
If we think a guy's a liability in pass pro, let's help him. If we think a guy can one-on-one this, we thought Jay Alexander could cover McLaurin last week. Turns out when it came down to crunch time, 17 made some plays on him.
Yeah,
it happens. And if you lose a game because that happens, all the players in the locker room are like, I'll eat that. You know what I mean? If he gets beat a couple times, well, hey man, we got faith in you. Like we know you're a good player. That stuff happens.
It will.
Okay, but what is unacceptable is if the backup, the third string, I don't know, right tackle's in the game or something, getting his head beat in by an all-pro, and he's in there with no help. You go, okay, this doesn't make sense to me, right?
You gotta get him help.
Square peg, round hole.
Yeah, doesn't make sense. Gotta add it up. So defensively here, He's saying they got to get home, and I say that I agree with that because watching pursuit, or I say watching the surge, when the ball snapped, sometimes I watch which way that line of scrimmage is reset, and especially with the run game. And I see that sometimes, and I say when I'm seeing now, obviously that one game is affecting the line of scrimmage where you might see a little like a reset from the 20 to the 21 in 3 steps for the offensive line for the opposing team. And then our guys are now then resetting and have to fight it off, and then boom, the run game's going. But then in the pass game, it stays basically a stalemate at the line of scrimmage if it's on the 20-yard line, and then Rashard Gary's getting upfield or Preston's getting upfield, but then the ball is out. They were able to get some pressure on Heineke this past weekend, but overall in the last few weeks, we've seen very few pressure out from those two guys, and then from the defense overall, able to make some defensive plays, with DeAndre getting an interception, but still not getting that pressure that we want, I'll say that they want, putting that pressure on their quarterback in that position.
Yeah, and they're playing against a guy. If we want to just look forward to the Bills,
yes, it's a problem.
Offensively, Josh Allen's the best in the business right now.
Yes, he is. He is a problem.
Just flat out. And when I say read your, you have to be able to read your keys and make plays, and then just be able to play free. Simplify. It's like it's always the same thing for me. Like simplify, know it like the back of your hand, and then just be able to play as fast as possible. Josh Allen's 67% completion percentage. He's got 1,980 yards, 17 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. He's only been sacked 9 times. When you watch them on tape, and I got a couple clips we'll show, they are running every play. It's like they're actually what we used to be when we were hitting on all cylinders, where you just like playing free. Every play is a chunk play for you. It's like a chunk play to a check down. Like we're going all the way. Like every play that you get a handoff, we think you can score on. Every time that Donald Driver, runs a sail route, we think he's going to get 25, 30 yards.
Yep.
Right? Like every play feels like that with these guys. And then maybe he has to, extend the play. Maybe he needs to make something happen with his leg.
Wait till the receiver come open, throw the ball.
Every time they either get under center, drop back. And the other thing that they do is they do a great job of breaking tendency, right? So you know how, like, for example, a running back will line up over the tackle, that means they're releasing, or they'll line up behind the quarterback. It means they're coming straight downhill. They'll line up over the guard. That means they're going across all their stuff. They'll run draws at every position. They run I mean, they do a really good job of not letting you completely figure out what's going on. They run enough motion across the ball. They run enough cross releases and switch releases that it's just, and then of course they got Gabe Davis, they got Stephon.
Yeah.
They got guys
very good
receivers on the back end.
Yes.
So it's gonna be real interesting. And then defensively, they've got guys on all 3 levels. Like every level they got
that are problems.
Von Miller's a problem.
Yep.
Rousseau's got the best pass rush win rate in the league right now. Matt Milano and Tremaine Edwards they got 4 tackles for loss each. I mean, arguably the 2 best linebackers that we've seen, not, except for maybe the guys on the Bucs. These guys are really, really good players. Jordan Poyer's got 4 picks. I mean, these guys can play all over. Now you could spread them out. They'll run different coverages. They're susceptible to getting beat from play action like everybody else. But the thing that is nuts about this team is I'll go and I'll try to find all the explosive plays and just kind of take a look and see if it's like, is it a guy making a mistake or is it a scheme there's a scheme issue, right? So most explosive, like most teams at this stage of the game, their explosive run, is probably in the 20s. These guys have given up since the beginning of the season, like 13 explosive runs, which is just 10 yards. There's only like 13 runs that are 10 yards or more. You think of, I mean, that's nutso.
That's playing fast to the ball. That's wrapping up, and then obviously getting pressure to the quarterback, and then making the run game any team that they face non-existent.
Yeah.
Because when there's no balance to the run or the pass, then you could do that as a defense. You could dictate to the offense what you're going to do and what plays.
They're dominating the line of scrimmage, man, and those linebackers fill really well. I mean, they're number 1 in the league rushing yards a game, 76.2 yards a game.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a defensive dream.
3.5 yards a carry. I mean, just right now with the Bills, they're number 1 in offense. They're number 2 in defense. It's just they have an embarrassment of riches right now, And I know all those guys from Carolina, Brandon Bean and all those guys, and you just honestly can't be happier for them, man. Like really, really good people. So
right.
Let's check some of this tape out. I put a couple clips together to kind of give us a look at, giving the fans a look at what we can expect here to see. So first of all, let's just talk from an offensive standpoint. I went back a couple different games.
Right.
Shotgun, and you'll see. Let me go back one more time. Sorry, here we
So
are.
you got a tight end. You got a tight end set.
Yep.
The 2x1.
So you got a trips look up to the top. There's two tight ends there.
Oh, there's two tight ends. Okay,
yep.
I already saw the one. Yep, you're right. Trips.
So they love running out trips and bunch.
Crossing routes.
And first things first, right? Gabe Davis can beat you deep, and that's Minka Fitzpatrick. Okay?
Right. Yeah, that's a good DB.
Yeah, he's all pro. Okay, you go to the next look here. Great play action, and I mean, look at this full cell play action, AG. And this is what when as a Packers fan, whether you're in Dominic Foxworth made a great statement on ESPN about how, listen, you cannot run play action out of shotgun the entire time. Like, you got to get under center. And he was talking about the Packers.
Correct.
Now, they're right, and these guys run a lot of under center. But look at this play action. You're pulling linemen. You're moving bodies, and like we could say, this very well might just be an RPO, right? But the way that they get the guys going horizontal, so they're not downfield, so you don't have linemen downfield. You're running a very, very viable play that can capture the edge with the tight end down here, as you can see.
Right.
But then they've got this 14 on an inside slot. Like, it's, this isn't a house call, but it's a 40-yard pickup.
It's a big play. Yeah.
And it's just putting guys in positions to be successful. We got motion down to trips. Now.
So right now, like what I'm seeing in the last three plays, great touchdown right there, is they are manipulating the crossing. They're using the crossing routes to perfection. You have that makes a problem, because obviously all that cross action for defensive back, the linebacker, you're trying to find, okay, where's my guy? And the crossing routes are the best route to throw that off. And then the run game is effective. So that's why you have the play action face where guys come in wide open or come in open enough to make a run after catch for that team, for the quarterback. Yeah.
So what you see here is, so first of all, again, they love running out a bunch of trips. They like motion, especially like motion and digs, right? Because it gives them a free release. But now the guy catching the ball right here, this guy is their 5th round draft pick, Khalil Shakir, right? It's like,
number
10. Like, he's an afterthought. You didn't know who he was. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've got all these guys, and they have to single up somebody. It's a numbers game. So the one guy they single up, you run him on it. Like, there's not a wide receiver worth his salt in the league that shouldn't be able to beat a slot DB or a linebacker, which they will they'll run against us on a crossing route to the far corner. Like, there's not a single guy, and Josh Allen can make every throw in the book, and that's what makes him so dangerous. I think it might be this one right here, another trips look, and so they're running the hitch, right? And you're running cover 2 here, right? So they got the outside release, and where's the only place that Josh Allen can throw the ball? He can throw the ball to the sideline to keep it away from the high safety, dude. So he completes it. Look at the way that Josh Allen releases this ball.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, you might as well be in your backyard right now.
Yeah.
Throws a dart. That's a 40-yard in the air ball. Not 4.8 yards, but 48 yards. Right?
Yeah. I got you.
So let's go to the other side now. This is Miami versus Buffalo's defense. Now, these guys have some explosive players on their team. We motion across, and I want you to see the sail right here. So they got motion turns into kind of a switch release, right? And why do they? And so one thing that we can do from an offensive standpoint is when we motion across the ball, when we motion inside and out, what they'll do is they'll soften their coverage. So regardless if they're playing single high, they're playing 2, they're playing 4, they're playing a combo 6, they will soften their coverage and back up and give you room to run when you go motion across the ball. That's kind of shown up on film over and over. So you see this kind of in a soft release, and now you got this sail route here, easy pitch and catch, right? As long as you have time to throw it. Now, the speed that these guys have, they have to threaten a little bit more than, Christian Watson. If, you look at this and go, well, Christian Watson can run that route, right? He's got the kind of threatening speed if we can get him healthy, and looks like he's back this week.
Get him to catch the ball. Make sure he catch the ball. That's it.
now, AG, this is something that we've been talking about for weeks. Under center, and you remember you have to marry plays up, right? So you have to run Ahman Green with Brett under center in order for this to work. Like you can't just get under center every time they're like, oh yeah, by the way, it's play action pass again. But when you start running for the ball from under center, you've got great play action.
And space for your receivers.
And tons of space. Look what this does from the end zone copy. Look what this does to the linebackers, and look what it does to the pass rush. Because, again, I think I want to see – let me see their stats real quick, AG, before I continue on here. I think from a sack standpoint, they are 10th in the league in sack percentage.
Got it.
Okay, so they're pretty good, right?
Yep, they're real good.
So we look at this, and the reason they're good is because the guys inside, specifically Ed Oliver and I think Jordan Phillips to a lesser extent, they do a great job of pushing the pocket. So Greg Rousseau and Von Miller can kind of do their stuff outside, right? So pushing the pocket, we know that's been a problem recently with the Green Bay Packers. This is the kind of stuff that helps the Packers get two bodies, four hands on those inside guys. Now you can chip off. You can help with the tight ends. And you might be running two-man routes, but if you've run this run play,
this
and
formation,
you're married up with play action pass,
pass,
now you get these guys sucked up, and you have all of these plays open. You can take these shot plays to check down, right?
Yep, exactly. So like I said, it keeps the defense honest.
Yeah,
that's what you do. That marrying up the plays, don't matter the formation, but you keep the defense honest pretty much.
And what we saw last week is when we have success with the play action pass, it's and you just saw it with two of them, right? Or with the last one, you roll out your fake, and then it's like a turn, and maybe it's a hitch and throw, but it's happening fast. It's not turn and wait. Josh Allen's not turn and wait on the throws. I'm sure I try to make a point. Really is a big deal, right? We have to get to our spots.
Get to the rhythm.
So you look at Pat Mahomes. So this is interesting, right? They motion down. They're still in trips, but they're really in quads here, right? Because if you're a linebacker, you're counting the running back out to the side. So
exactly.
This is really a 4-by-1 offense. Now the Buffalo Bills, they'll match 11 personnel. They'll stay. Their base is nickel. They'll stay in nickel, and if Tunyon's in the game, they'll stay in nickel. They don't care. They'll just count him as a slot receiver.
Yep.
So if we go 12, the chances are they'll just stay in, and it's Tunyon. They'll probably just stay and just match them up with a nickel.
Yeah.
So now they're running their shell coverage. They got two deep. They're going to run with here, and they're clearing out. And now you just have big opportunities underneath. Now the cool thing about this, AG, like from my perspective at least, is that when he releases,
he gets off a good chip.
It's off the chip, but you're also just running through. It's not taking a lot of time.
No, it's fast. Yep.
It's basically like they're saying, hey, run on this track. If the dude's in your way, that's okay, but don't wait around for him.
Yeah, get out of there. Make the move. Make some chip. If he's there, like you said, but get out the backfield, which he did. Slows him up, catch the ball, and it's a 2-minute situation trying to get the ball into field goal range, and he picks up all the extra yardage they needed right there. So
under center play action. Under center, we got multiple guys going in motion through here. And again, so this is interesting because we don't have necessarily
the personnel like
this. Travis Kelce.
Correct. That's why I said personnel.
But we do have a slot. Our starting tight end is a slot receiver, just like Kelce is, right?
And we run out this formation as well. This has been set up by KC.
So they do a great job here of kind of hiding Kelce, and so making sure that the first person that sees him is Matt Milano, right? Goes right by him. This is like, remember our old H2 Buck. This is really all that is, right? This is just Hound 2 Buck for us.
And sitting there right, so good throw, but he got space and he's open. And you do that, like you're saying, Marion. I'm pretty sure Kansas City had ran that formation and got some yardage with Edwards-Helaire or McKinney in the backfield to then get to where they are. Then a big pass, explosive play to Kelce downfield or any other receivers in that field. And if you watch that game, there was a lot of big explosive plays for Kansas City, even though it came down to the end with Buffalo winning.
So last couple here, going back to the Steelers game, again, young quarterback, play action pass, under center, drawing the defense, great pocket. Like, this is the stuff that's most important for us. Like, there's nobody in front of him stepping into the throw.
Yeah, he could throw it with all his might right there. Accuracy.
This is what you're looking for. And this isn't quite a sail route. This is like a 7 comeback. but to the sideline. But you just have tons of space here. And again, it's just I love this stuff because it's so simplistic. You got a lot of guys coming across the ball. There's a lot of stuff going on in the backfield. And if you're doing anything, you're getting bodies on these. You're allowing the offensive line to come off and be aggressive and putting themselves in again.
Look at that pocket.
Put yourself in a position to be successful.
Exactly. Nice round pocket space, like you said already. Open to throw the ball, and he can. It's a comeback because the receiver turned his turn to the inside to the field. So right there, yeah.
So I told you there's not a lot of explosive runs, but here, like the key to the run game is, well, first of all, if you go to like watch the Ravens, having a fullback helps in this now, right?
Yeah.
So the pendulum swung back. Having a fullback, especially a 295-pound one like the Ravens do,
yeah.
But having a fullback helps. But in this game, it's really don't bring a lot of people to the party if they don't want to dance, right? Less people, the better. If you line up in 11, you can detach your tight end, run 5. Like they'll put 5, 6 people in the box, and it's just at least you have your best chance because the more people they bring, they're all very active in the right?
Exactly.
And the more vertical you can go in this game, the better off. So they motion Zolaire back in, just run off tackle. And like I just showed this in because there's not a lot of great running plays against this team, but spreading them out, you know, we talked about this when you and I were playing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bubba was a great tight end. He was a guy who was a willing blocker. But if anybody else came in there, you're always kind of like, man, just get them detached because like, you don't need them. We don't need extra bodies in there. Let's let our center and left guard do their job up to Milano here. Yeah. We can book the backside guys because we're going out the front side. This isn't a cutback play. This is a downhill cut play.
It's almost like a 99 handoff solid, basically. Yeah. Outside zone play, the running back knows to bust it to the corner if he sees no color. Yeah, no color there for the Kansas City line was able to get on top of him. And then Edward just keep it to the outside. But then what I see on that play, what is beautiful, that Bieniemy and Reed do, they create all that space. They separate, you know, the stance of the linemen. Their alignment is a little bit wider. And then they got a formation where you have a tight end, but the play action makes the tight end, puts the tight end in the flat. So that right there thinks, okay, it's a pass play, but then boom, run play outside zone. So you got to keep the defense honest. I've been saying that.
Does it piss you off when you see it? I'll be honest with you. It pisses me off when I see, and our guys do it too. When they see but Kelsey does it all the time because he doesn't like blocking. When they'll line him up and then and Gesicki does it for Miami. And they'll send him to the flat because they don't even want him. Like they need to line him up to say that he was there. So because so what happens is for fans out there, what happens is there's a guy in a room like with no windows after the game, and all he's got is his computer and his keyboard, and he has to mark down. The poor bastard's got to sit there and he's got to mark down like Travis Kelce was attached. It was an attached tight end. 76% of the time, whatever the number is,
just that guy,
and then they go and they ran the ball this many times. So contextually, like they have no idea whether he was blocking or not. So all they'll do is they'll line him up and then they'll run into the flat and they'll hope the defensive end just goes turns his head just a little bit and then they'll leave that guy unmarked because that's actually better. Think about this, like NFL football players, right? And he's going to be a Hall of Fame player.
Yeah.
And there's it's not him, it's a ton of them, and it's not their fault. It's what they do is receive the ball, right? Mm-hmm. But we don't have traditional tight ends anymore. But these guys are they're basically saying I would rather you go run over there and block the popcorn guy than try to engage the defensive end because we know the defensive end will just throw you into the ball. You think about it, it's pretty funny.
It is. We put it that way because I see that a lot with Tanya, and I see that. Well, I saw that a lot with Jimmy Graham when he was, because he was the one that started this trend. And so that right there,
Graham, dude.
Yeah, it's just it just shakes my head. I'm like, man, if you out here, you better put a hand on somebody. I'm like, I'm getting mad. Yeah, when I think about it and seen it, it's one of those things like, come on, here we go.
Jimmy Graham to me. So what's funny about? Well, let's not get off on a tangent too much, but it is, he did play for the Packers. But when Tony Gonzalez was doing it, it wasn't he just wasn't very good at blocking. You know what I mean?
He would make an effort. He wasn't
he wasn't a blocker. He just wasn't good at it. But he would put his hand in the ground and he'd mess around with guys, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember Jimmy Graham was basically nope, not going to be a blocker.
No.
I remember they signed him for that big contract in Seattle, and at the time, that was my last team, and I said all allegiance to him, and I went are you kidding? Do you think he's that How could you think he's going to work in Pete Carroll's offense? John Schneider is a genius, But
Right.
I like that one. That was the one I was always like, man, how did you not understand that he would never become a blocker? You know.
Yep.
Anyways,
Anyway.
keys to the game, but keys to the game. I got 3.
Okay.
Very simple. Packers defense can't miss it. They're going to get chances on Josh Allen. Every one of their guys up front is beatable. I like Deion Dawkins always had, but I think we'll get shots on him. Can you take him down? Like, because he'll break out of arm tackles. He's like Dante Culpepper, right?
Yep.
He's like you do Dante Culpepper.
Yep.
Packers offense. They're going to play multiple coverages. They're going to give you chances to win against man coverage. We just saw emotional soften them up, but are we going to keep this simple? And are we just going to execute? Like, I hope that the focus in practice this week is let's simplify and just be masters of our domain and execute at the highest level. And I think the last thing is, like, this is an 11-point spread, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I really think Green Bay is going to win on Sunday.
Right.
Like, I think the Bills are the better team by a lot right now, unfortunately. But I do think this is an attitude game by Green Bay. I think anytime you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers, you always have a chance. But I think the way that these guys come out and play is gonna speak a lot to the rest of their season.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yes, I say tackle better, and Josh Allen is going to definitely test him along with the running backs there. Singletary, he's a good running back. He had big runs against in the Kansas City game. They were opening the gaps for him. So be aware of that, and say get the run game going. Get the run game going with a simplistic offense, and then the pass game will come right into it. It's just a natural thing. It's like the sun coming up and flowers opening. It's that thing. That's how it is. And then create turnovers. I say some of the basic stuff. I'm gonna always say create turnovers, because when you create turnovers, punching the ball out, getting tip passes, interceptions, stuff like that, then you keep the offense on the field, and then defense off the field, resting up, to be the defense that we know they can be. So basically, real simple.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, I got a special hero of the week. My special hero of the week is actually 2 heroes. It's Pete Carroll and John Schneider.
Okay.
And I think you probably know where I'm going with this, but the Broncos are overplaying in London.
Yep.
And Russell Wilson got off the plane and said that he spent 4 hours of the 8-hour flight doing calisthenics and doing high knees in the aisle where his teammates were sleeping because he was so ready to play football.
Okay.
And when you see all of this stuff, and you just take it back to, like, remember he showed up with like the monster truck day one.
Yeah.
And he wore the blue tuxedo to the Seahawks game. And he does these like the cringiest, creepiest
on
social
Instagram
media posts that you've ever seen in your life. And he's got the Let's Ride logo, and then all this stuff comes out in Seattle about, some guys have had nothing but nice things to say about him, but enough of the guys have said, like, dude, just not great. Marshawn comes out and says, like, you can't even get a hold of him. You got to talk to his guy, his business manager.
Oh man, okay.
You just think Pete, and now Pete Carroll is doing well. John Schneider's 2022 draft picks. Let's see, 1st and 3rd round are bookend tackles. 2nd round's a starting running back. 5th round's a game-changing defensive back, and their 6th rounder is their nickel back. Like, doing pretty well.
Yeah,
pretty nice draft, pretty nice haul from the Broncos, and that's not half of it.
Right.
What they're going to get. Pretty nice haul. Oh, and Noah Fant, all these other guys that came along with it. And you just look at how well Geno's playing, and that, Pete had the conviction to say, you know what, dude, let Russ Cook's not going to win. Not the way I play. I'm a good coach. I can do my stuff. Like, I just couldn't. I really like that organization. I've always been a huge Pete Carroll fan. You and I are both John Schneider fans from Green Bay.
Oh yeah.
Couldn't be happy for those guys. And it just kind of shows you, like, you can have a really good player. Russell Wilson's a really good football player, or he was at least, right? Right now he might not be, but
he's struggling. Yeah, he's struggling right now.
He can have a really good football player, but if you are not rowing in the same direction as everybody else, sometimes you got to go, and it's sometimes more is less, or addition by subtraction, however you want to say it. But good for those guys. Yeah,
good. They made the decision, and it's obviously paying forward. They got a team of young players, because Geno been in the league 7 years, but that's only 7, and he's earned the experience. He's gained experience to get where he's at now, so that is a plus. And then you got young Walker, the running back. I end up picking him up on fantasy too, not realizing he's going to be this guy, and he's a beast. And so you need that in an organization where everything was in the offseason was talking rebuild, because Russell being gone. It was rebuild this, rebuild that. They got DK down now on Metcalf. with the knee injury, but no surgery, which is good. So he'll be back towards the end of the season. But I agree. They're sitting in a good spot. Good, smart for looking ahead to see what possibly what could be the case for this team. And they went out there and did it, and not worry about losing one of their best players in terms of Russ.
Bucks Ravens tonight. Bucks by 2. Who do you got? Bucks at home.
I think I went with, because I did this earlier with Gilbert and Dorsey. I believe I went with the Bucks.
I don't care what you did with them. What are you doing with me?
I'm doing this with you. All right. I think I'm Bucks. I think I had the Bucks.
You're wrong. Lamar Jackson's going to win that game. Next.
I like Bucks defense. He said next. I like Bucks defense.
All right. Russell versus Doug Peterson in London. Jacksonville by 2.
I took that one.
You got to take Dougie, right?
I got to take Dougie.
I take Dougie in points all day on that.
Yeah, that's a young buck playing well.
There's not a lot of good games this weekend. Philly. So Miami, Detroit actually might be a good game if Detroit can figure out how to score points against. Like they went on like a 3-week hiatus here, but Miami, Detroit in Detroit is only a 3.5 point spread for Miami. Like that could actually be a good game. 51.5 over under.
Yeah, that's a lot of points scoring, but I'm gonna stick with Miami on that one.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I just Detroit just feels like, everybody watched Hard Knocks, and
right.
It's hard. Dan's a lovable figure in that and everything, but at the end of it, dude, like passion doesn't This is a great lesson. Passion does not win football games. What wins football games is players that know exactly what to do and how to do them at the highest level.
Execution.
All that other, you can take all that other stuff and how much I love you and all this other dude. If you love me, show me how to be the best player I can be.
Exactly.
That's what makes you the best. That's what makes you a great organization, right? All this other emotion and stuff, you can take that somewhere else.
Yeah, it helps.
That's like the cherry on top, right? Oh, Andy's a good dude. No, man, you and your staff got to make me the best player I can be.
We got to get that fixed. Yep.
We got Kyler Murray traveling to Minnesota to play the Vikings. Kirk Cousins by 3.5 here.
Yeah, I got the Vikings. Arizona still kind of figuring stuff out for their season, what 2022 is going to be like, and not playing great football, so that's going to be a struggle for them with that Minnesota defense. The offense has got to score a few touchdowns there, and defense will take care of it from there. Excuse me.
This is an interesting game. Pats Jets.
Ooh, yes, it is.
Pats Jets. First of all, who's going to start?
Right. I think Mac Jones starting. Mac Jones.
Okay, so Mac Jones starting. Jets are at home. The thing about the Jets is they lost Breece Hall and they lost they lost Vera, and that kid was playing really well. He'd already started at 3 different positions along the offensive line. I don't think that we are taking into account what a big deal it is to lose Breece Hall and Elijah Vera. Like those guys are their 2 best offensive players. Yeah. I don't think they'll be able to recover. I think the Patriots win this game by more than 2.5 I would say by a touchdown.
Yeah, I'll say Patriots because this well-coached team, Bill Belichick knows how to prepare for everybody, any team in any situation, and knowing, like you said, Breece Hall is down. That's a big factor because he's a big part of their offense. That helped that offense go off the play action for Zach Wilson. So I got Patriots with that 2.5. Take that all day.
Giants Seahawks by 3 at home. This might be honestly, which is crazy. This might be the game of the week, right?
Yeah, this is a game right here because you got 2 teams that, for one, the Seahawks, like we mentioned, nobody expected them to be where they are right now. Same with the Giants, but the Giants got the experience now in enough tight games to that when that fourth quarter comes around, they know what to do now. They understand. They know the feeling. It's no pressure on them. In the first couple games in the season, when they play late games and to win, they were just learning. Now they're there. They're experts at playing fourth quarter, 3-point game. We score, we win type of situation. So I go with the Giants here.
Oh, I'm gonna go with the Seahawks at home just because I know that I always that's the hardest place I ever played in.
Yeah, by volume.
Yeah. So I kind of spot them 5 points when they're at home. So really, this is like Seahawks by 8. This is like Seahawks by 8 to me.
Gotcha.
So then I think I go 8 point spread. They can't overcome that, even though the Packers had an 8 point spread last week and they lost. But anyways, we got Niners Rams. It's a pick'em game. Rams at home. Niners favored by 1. Okay, let me ask you this because you're running back. Christian McCaffrey goes to the Niners, obviously, and he plays a little bit last week, but they lose to a better team. But now you look at it and you go, they could hypothetically, I guess they could take Jimmy Garoppolo off the field and just put somebody else and just run some sort of option offense with the weapons they have.
Or like you were talking with the Giants doing a Wildcat.
Yeah, they could do like a Wildcat,
with
right? But the Rams don't seem to have it figured out. And
no,
I don't think the Niners, Jimmy Garoppolo is a limiting factor, but like, dude, I don't know how you play defense with a week now for Shanahan to prepare. Like, how do you play defense against the Niners?
Yeah. You got some weapons now in terms of that they got to prepare for. So
Deebo Samuel, he doesn't even have to get in the backfield if he doesn't want to anymore. You can actually just throw him the ball now.
Yeah, and that's still a problem.
Bubble screen. It's part of the run game, right?
There you go. There you go.
Right,
So I'm going 49ers there.
I gotta ask you, Bills Packers, Bills by 11.
No, it's unfortunate, but I'm a realist. I'm a realist right now.
Bengals.
All Bills.
Yeah, it's tough. So yeah, they asked me today. I go, I think it's going to be a tough game.
Yeah,
like,
it's going to be a really tough game.
Like this could be this, and I'm being sincere when I say this. If they win, that's fantastic.
Fantastic.
If they lose, but it's a respectable game, I know there's no like pat on the back wins. What do they call those when you win but you lose but you win? What does that mean? Sentimental win or something?
Yeah, moral victory.
Moral victory.
Yeah.
Okay, I know there's no moral victories, but like, dude, that's a moral victory.
Yeah.
Because this team, the point spread
is 11.
Their
11
point,
and a half.
No, but AG.
Oh.
Their point spread in every game.
Oh.
Dude, they average 30 and they give up 13 and a half.
Right. Yeah. So
their point spread every game is damn near 17 points.
Yeah, 18 points a game. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like if you're keeping it under 18 right now, I mean, we're a middle of the road team.
Right
keep
now.
It under 18, you got to go, well, yeah, we're fighting pretty hard. You know?
Oh man, this is it. Okay.
Right. Well, listen, we'll see what happens this weekend. It's gonna be an interesting week. What do you got going on right now?
I say I'll be home. Thank God. I had
no. Right now, you're doing something with Madden.
Oh yeah, I'm doing a Madden event tonight. Here we go in the studio here in about 3 minutes, and it is the NFL. So it's the Dallas Cowboys are doing an event for kids to play Madden, and it's kind of educating them on nutrition in terms of dairy and having eaten the 5 food groups and all that fun stuff. And me and Larry Ridley are commentating the Madden games that are being played. I believe like high school age kids, maybe lower.
So are you telling me that in order to promote healthy lifestyles, you got these kids playing video games?
Yep.
Boy, I'll tell you, this is the reason why Rodgers has to go on the damn Pat McAfee show and talk about. He can't talk to the players.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, AG, I love that. See, I know you do you do a full workout before you get the controller in your hand, man.
Oh
you got you guys doing push-ups and whatnot.
Oh yeah, push-ups. If they drop the F-bomb, oh yeah,
that's a
doing all that.
All right, guys, check us out. Ahman Green 30 on Twitter and Instagram. Mike Wall 68 on Twitter. Process to Perform on Instagram. AG, man, we'll talk to you next week, bro.
Talk to you next week. Peace.